Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the Check for Understanding for the Introduction to Objects for the Udacity-based Module 0 Building Blocks Intro. So the first one, they want us to create an object called person and set the following properties. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll say variable person is equal to an empty object. Then we'll say person dot first name is equal to, I got stuck here last time. Well, I've got a book next to me that looks like it was written by Robert Solomon. So, Rob's up. First name is going to be Robert. Person.last name is going to be equal to Solomon. And these are going to be semicolons here. And then person.age in years. It'll be, doesn't say how old he is. Let's just say he's 45. And then return person. Let's run our tests, and we're in good shape. Fill out the code for add full name function, for the add full name function. The function should take one input parameter, a person object, add a property called full name to the person object when called. The new full name property is set to a string first name, last name, with space in between the two names. Modify the object passed in without returning anything. Ugh, I don't love questions like this, and the reason is that we are very inelegantly glancing over something that's important to understand about functions like this. So I'm going to copy all of this, bring it over to our replit. I'll paste it in here. And let's also, we want to grab these. Here's what we're going to do. At the very top, we're going to create a multi-line comment by putting the / asterisk and then an asterisk / So everything in here is going to be a comment, and I'm going to paste in the notes. Take one parameter, a person object. I'm also going to move this one up here, and we'll say definition, which is to say the definition of the function, and then a test of the function, or a call to the function. Let's say a call to the function. So this part and this part are completely independent. You really don't want to like lump them together in your mind because they don't really have a ton to do with each other. This is an example of how the function might work when it's called, and this is the definition of the function. They're not really, they shouldn't be linked the way that they are, and they certainly shouldn't be set up this way. So apologies for that, but let's sort it out as we should. Add a property called full name to the person object when called. So the new full name property, first name, last name, this is also really awkwardly put. Essentially what they want is they want us to grab the value of the first name property and the value of the last name property, concatenate them with a space in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to say person object is equal to, then we're going to take a quick sidestep and we'll say variable first name is equal to person object dot first name. Now we're not really changing much here, we're creating an alias. It's going to be easy for us to look at first name and last name than person object dot last name and person object dot first name. What we just did is not completely necessary, but it is nice and helpful. So variable last name is equal to person object dot that, and then we want to say person object dot full. Let's make sure we're spelling full name. Full name is equal to first name plus an empty space plus last name. We're not returning anything, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to come on down here. We have an example person. We're going to console.log person before function call. And this is going to output a string next to the person object. We're going to copy that, and paste it on down here. We're going to say person after function call, and we'll paste that there. And then we actually want to call add full name, and we want to call it on this person. So here in the definition, we have a parameter, person object, and everything inside of the function should mostly deal with the parameter. Down here, when we're calling the function, we have an argument, and to add full name, we're passing the argument of person. So person is going to be essentially the value that is bound to person object for the duration of this function call. If all of that felt kind of jarbled and you don't really understand it quite yet, there's two possibilities. One, the explanation I just gave is not very good, and two, you haven't seen it enough. This can be like a lot of things in coding and JavaScript especially. The more you see it, the easier it'll be for you to recognize it. It's one of those things where like time and exposure really do make a huge difference. So now that we have our function definition set up, our call to the function set up, and a proof of concept, because we're going to console log the person before we add the full name property and after we've added the full name property. So let's go ahead and run the code. And okay, so we've got not a very clean output. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to console.log a big old line of equal signs. And that's going to put a nice little delimiter in between those. So let's run this again. Maybe it'll look a little better. Okay, it's a little better. So for the first object we have here, the second object now has a full name property, which looks very nicely like the first name plus the last name. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and grab our function, because the function is pretty much the only part that's going to matter to us. We're going to paste it on in here and hit run tests. And we're in good shape. So, and that's it. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.